So you said earlier today when we talked that people have been sending you messages asking you about why there is no mask mandate in Columbus.
The city of Columbus doesn't have the authority to initiate a mask mandate. At the present time, that has to come straight from the governor. The only two communities in Nebraska currently that allow themselves to initiate a mask mandate are Omaha and Lincoln, and I think all of us know Omaha and Lincoln have done that. I do know a few other communities have reached out to ask what could we do as a community to enact a mask mandate. I actually just saw some information this afternoon. So I think more are looking at what possibly could happen, but right now the way the laws are written, we can't. So it would be something, I think we would start with an ordinance locally, and then we'd have to craft it so it fit state statute.
All right, and we were talking a little bit earlier about what has changed from the beginning of this pandemic versus right now.
You know, I think my take on what's changed has been that it's just grown in its intensity. It's gotten to the point where I think almost everybody you know can relate to somebody that has been personally affected by COVID. I think of it back in March and April, early May when this was just beginning. And I think a lot of people say, I don't know anybody, I'm not sure what's happening, it's going to be done. Well, it hasn't gone away. And again, I know people personally that have been infected. Most have gotten over it very well and quickly, but I know a few that battled. I know a few that have battled through it. So fortunately, I don't know of anyone who has succumbed from COVID, but we know there are some that have. So I think my biggest point would be that it's grown, it's continuing to grow, and there's quite honestly doesn't seem to be an end in sight right now.
Yeah, and I actually was going to ask you about that. So what concerns do you have about coronavirus and the current trajectory we're on locally?
Well, it's scary. I mean, every day, every week, we seem to be increasing. You know, we're asking people to try to do the 3 C's. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Do your best. Wear your. But I don't know what isn't happening that's allowing this to continue on. I think what it is there's just a lot of people not really adhering to what the recommendations are. Our schools being open has been great for our students, but yet I know we're probably, we have staff that are getting infected and we're having some issues in that regard. Our businesses, obviously Columbus has so many essential businesses. They're going to keep working, but yet, you're going to have interaction with employees. So I really think we as a community need to take as firm a stand as we can, saying we've got to do whatever we can to help ourselves and our neighbors. To me, one of the simplest things is wearing a mask. Let's take the politics out of it. Let's take the arguments out of it. If wearing a mask makes me a little bit safer and helps my neighbor, what is wrong with that? And I think that's really where we've got to reach out and say, can't we do it? Along with that, I guess I would ask, and I wish our retailers would get stronger in requiring individuals to come in. And maybe it's the requirement that should come from up above. I wish our governor would take the stand. I think we're to the point. I understand not wanting to have an in-place mandate. If you can get by without it, it's great. I don't believe we have. I think we failed that test. And I wish the governor would come back and say, hey, we tried as hard as we could. We're not reaching the levels, we're not reducing the levels to where we feel we need to be. We need some help, and the help would be a mandate on mask wearing. I'm going to do some research to see what we can do in Columbus, if anything. And obviously, I'm only the mayor. I can only bring forth ideas and suggestions. And so, if there's some things we can do, I'll work with our council to see if we could bring forth something. And we'll have to see where we are at that point. All I can do right now is ask the public to be as giving as possible with being upfront about mask wearing, social distancing, and let's try to stay ahead of this problem.